Hello, everyone. My guest today is Jordi Torras. He founded Inbenta in 2005 to help clients improve online relationships with their customers using technologies like artificial intelligence and natural language processing. The first beta version of the tool was released in 2010 thanks to a team composed of linguists, software architects, and customer care specialists. In 2012, Jordi moved to California to continue to grow Inbenta there. Jordi, you ready to take us to the top?
Yeah, absolutely. That description sounds familiar to me.
Very good. So talk to me about the company. Is it a pure play SaaS company?
Is a pure player AI NLP company, yes.
Okay, but the way you bill people, it's monthly recurring. It's software as a service.
It's software as a service. Most of our customers pay yearly.
Okay,
so
great.
We have a budget for the whole year, and that's a yearly subscription.
And I want to get into the product here in a second, but first, on average, just so we get a sense of if you're small business, medium business, or enterprise, what's the average customer paying you per year for access to the tech?
Most of our customers are medium to large enterprises. Average would be around the $30,000 per year. That's where we are now.
And then tell us about the tech. What are they paying for?
Well, basically, the value that they get out of Inbenta is the capacity to answer the questions of the customers of their customers online, and that way, basically, they alleviate their customer support team from having to manually deal for repetitive questions from their customers.
So this is a tool where I'm using some software tool and I really get stuck. I need support. I click their live chat. I ask a question and they said, hey, before you talk to a live person, do any of these articles answer the question you just typed in? That kind of thing.
That kind of thing. That's right. It comes with different flavors. There's like the classical conversational chatbot, but also we have more search-inspired kind of applications where you have a search box, you ask your question as a search request, you get several answers, and you would click on one of these articles just as you described.
And when did you launch the company? What year?
So I started a company a long time ago. That was 2005, as you described at the beginning. Although it's a convoluted, long story, we started more like a consulting business, professional services company. So it wasn't until 2010 very much that we had that idea of building a software that would basically understand human language and give relevant answers.
Mm-hmm. And what have you scaled to today in terms of total customers?
We have today around 300 customers in Europe, North America, South America, Australia, and Japan. So it's the market where we are now.
And have you kind of done this bootstrapped or have you raised capital?
Good question. For many years, the company was bootstrapped, particularly during the time that we were a consulting business and we were self-financed. That consulting business actually allowed us to finance the very first version of the software. So we didn't raise what we call our Series A investment until 2014. So way.
So how much raised to date?
To date is 26 million, pretty much at this point.
3 or 2? 26.
26 million.
26, got it. And did you do most of this was equity or did you convertible notes or debt?
We used convertible note as intermediate mechanisms to actually get some of the equity invested. So essentially it's equity, although during the time there were...
when was the last time, Jordi, that you used a convertible note?
Last year.
Okay, and strategically help us understand why it made sense at the time.
Basically, regulations that some of our customers that out of the country have. So they had to have an investment in two phases. First, convertible note that was converted a few months later, but that was more an approval process and a regulation than an actual and strategic decision.
Oh, so some of your investors are your customers?
No, well, we have Entity. Entity Docomo is one of the investors today, and Entity Communications is our customer. So officially, there are two different companies, although all part of the same group.
Who couldn't just put in the money directly? Who had to go on a convertible note, and because of regulation, they had to wait for it to convert to equity?
Scale Capital, an investor out of Chile.
And why was that? Why does the regulation prevent?
That particular investor is partially funded by a government organization that takes longer to approve some of the proceedings, and that we use this mechanism.
Got it. And talk to me about the team today. How many folks?
We are around 165 people today.
And where's everyone based?
Well, most of the employees that we have are based still where the company was created in Barcelona, because there we have our R&D, our consulting teams, and then we have around 20 people in the US.
So Barcelona and remote.
Correct.
That's great. Right. And then, I want to understand more about growth here. So, can I take 300 customers that you said earlier times the other figure you gave earlier, which is a $30,000 ACV? That would put you right now at about $750,000 a month in terms of monthly recurring revenue. Is that about right?
The average, if you take the average, the last year's revenue was around $14 million.
But what run rate did you end at in December 2018?
14.
You ended at a $14 million. So you're at what, like 14.2 or 3 today, something like that?
Correct.
Yeah. And then take me back a year before that. Where were you a year before that?
It was around 10 million.
Okay, good. So you basically went from kind of $830,000 a month to kind of 1.1 million a month over the span of 12 months.
You're fast computing, dividing by 12, man.
That's good, man. Okay, good. So that's good. It's good growth. Did most of that growth come from new customer additions or expansion revenue on older customers?
Last year, we had a good expansion on our existing customers.
Okay.
So it was basically half and half.
Oh, good. So if you look at your full growth, the extra $400,000 you added in ARR and MRR, you're saying 50% was upsell, 50% was new additions.
That is correct.
That's interesting. Okay, break down, expansion revenue can be a beautiful thing, especially if it's covering up churned revenue on that same cohort. What does your gross revenue churn look like annually? And then what are you upselling to fill the gap?
We have at this point what we call a negative churn. So in other words, our upsells,
they cover your churn.
They cover our churn today.
Totally get that. I'm asking you to peel back the onion there. So what percent? So if you have a net negative churn, obviously what drives that negative is up. You have a lot of upsells, but if you ignore upsells, what's just gross revenue churn annually?
Oh, that will be for last year. That will be around 40%.
40% gross revenue churn.
Yes.
And what was expansion over the same period?
Oh, you mean that so 40%, let's say 20% was expansion, 20% was new accounts. Does that make sense? So the 40% growth is half divided between new accounts and the existing accounts.
Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to get it. What is your gross revenue churn over the past 12 months?
Gross revenue churn, right?
Yes.
That's around 5%.
God, I was going to say, there's no way it was 40%. You wouldn't have $26 million raised. 5% gross revenue churn annually. And then that same cohort that signed up a year ago, what are you expanding them by? Like 10, 20%? Or what's the number?
The expansion of the existing customers.
Yep.
So that let's say the growth in existing accounts.
Yep.
Right. Sometimes referred as negative churn. That will be around 20%.
Yeah. And just to be clear, you can still have growth in a historical cohort, but still have churn and not have net negative churn. So the reason I asked that number, so if you have 20% expansion and you have 5% gross revenue churn, that means you essentially have net negative 15%, or said differently, net revenue retention of 115%.
So, 5 is the churn.
Yep.
25 is the increase in existing accounts. 20% is the new accounts.
Yep. Perfect. Yeah. So you have 120. You basically have 120% net revenue retention.
Correct.
Yeah, which also is set as net negative churn.
Exactly. I'm sorry. I heard at least 5 different definitions of churn.
Everyone has. By the way, you're not wrong. Everyone has a different definition. That's why I always ask.
Yeah. Sometimes investors say, "What is your churn?" We say something like 5%, and say, "Oh, that's too bad. We're expecting a negative number." So, well, you asked me about churn, not churn plus
expansion.
Expansion. So
yeah, no. This is a healthy business. 5% churn, 25% expansion, 120% net revenue retention. The 25% expansion. Help me understand, what pricing axes are your sales team upselling against to get the 25% expansion?
So, a couple of things. One is just usage. So some of our customers move international. That creates more sessions, more usage of our technology. So,
but usage based off what? It's location based?
It's sessions, what we call sessions. So you go to our applications as a final customer, you ask a question, you start a session. We charge at the end of the day based on tiers, based on these sessions.
Got it.
Now, moving to another territory will add more traffic, therefore more sessions. In some other customers, we've been able to grow into different use cases. So let's say you use our technology on the public website, but then you say, hey, I can use Inbenta also to improve the life of my call center agent. So that's a different use case as well. So kind of a different use cases plus geographic extension.
That's great. And then how aggressive are you being, Jordi, in terms of adding a new customer? So if a new customer is worth 30 grand in year one ACV, are you willing to spend 30 grand to get the customer?
That's when it comes to cost acquisition, right, and all that. We are into the 0.8 at this point. So basically, in
terms of payback period?
Yeah. So that would be in that $1. So let's say adding $1 of new ACV is costing us 80 cents.
Yeah. You're putting in 80 cents in the machine and you're getting $1 of ARR out.
That's right.
Yep. Which would mean for a $30,000 ACV account, you're willing to spend up to call it $26,000 to get it.
You're a fast man.
Yeah. Very good. Where are you spending that money typically? Is it sales commissions or any direct paid stuff?
Well, we put in all that cost, marketing, outbound sales, inbound sales, SDRs, account executives, demos, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. And then how aggressive are you being in terms of just capital in general? So you've raised a bunch. I assume you're burning capital to grow. I mean, are we talking 100 grand a month burn or 500 grand or less?
Last year, our loss was around $2 million. Okay. We are planning to have a similar loss this year. Which is,
that means you're burning about 160 grand a month net burn.
Man, you're good at dividing by 12. So
yeah, good. Well, I like to break it down on a monthly. One thing I learned doing the podcast is it's hard to switch different metrics between monthly and annually. It's just better to stick with one. So yeah, 2 million loss again this year as you look to scale. Do you see break even in your future or no?
That's what we plan to have second quarter next year.
Okay, good. Okay, so call it a year, maybe a year and 2 months away, something like that.
Correct.
Good stuff. All right, let's wrap up here, Jordi, with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
My favorite business book is a book called Whale Hunters.
Whale Hunters. Good. Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying right now?
Yeah, all the CEOs that are part of the portfolio of the company. I can't.
Okay, number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building the company?
My favorite online tool to build a company is our own tool that we
besides
use,
your own,
which is a combination. All right, that's going to be Salesforce then.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
I got to be something around average 7.
And what's your situation, Jordi? Married, single, kids?
I am married. I got 1 son and 2 daughters.
Okay, so 3 kids. And how old are you?
I'm 50.
50. Last question. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
What's the question?
What's something you wish you knew when you were 20?
I should have learned English better when I was 20.
Learn English faster. English sounded good today, guys. Again, launched his company Inbenta back in 2010. Now 300 customers paying $3-4 grand a month, doing 1.2 million a month right now, up from 800 grand a month just a year ago. They have raised 26 million bucks. They're burning, call it $2 million bucks annually right now, or about 160 grand in net burn per month. Team of 165 people in Barcelona and other remote locations. 5% gross revenue churn annually, but 25% expansion. So 120% net revenue retention, spending 80 cents to get a new $1 of ARR. The economics work. Again, they are helping customer support teams be more efficient with their automated intelligence and artificial intelligence platform. Jordi, thank you for taking us to the top.
Thank you so much for your time.